In this video, we're going to have a look at downloading a font and installing it on your Windows laptop or PC. Now, at the moment, I am on the website fontspace.com, and I am just going to select a random font just to show you how easy it is to install a font. So I'm just going to go with Popular, and we'll see what comes up. So the first one, as you can see here, is a kind of Disney style font. So this is the one I'm just going to show you how to install, if this is the one you were going to do. So basically, when you come over to this download button, now it depends on each website. The download button will probably be in different locations, but on this website, this is where you can find it. So just click on download, and it is going to download it. Now the browser I'm using at the minute is Google Chrome, so if you're familiar with Google Chrome, you'll know that the downloads always come down here in the bottom toolbar. So I'm just going to open this up now. Now, depending on what software you have on your Windows, it'll react a different way. At the moment, I have the WinRAR software for open zip files. Now, yours might be in WinZip or whatever. So don't pay any attention to the software that's opening up this zip file. Yours may be different. So this is what we want here. We want the new Walt Disney TTF, and these are the fonts that we're going to use and we're going to install on Windows. So basically what you can do is you can extract them to your desktop or wherever, a convenient place to find them. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on it and it will extract it itself. Now at the moment I have the latest version of Windows, so your version of Windows could be different from what you see here, and maybe it may act differently. But basically when you double click on it, it's going to give you this option here to install the font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the font, but before I actually do so, just pay attention when this when you do double click and it opens up in this window. Pay attention to the text here and how it shows. Sometimes some of these fonts mightn't have small case letters, so if you actually type in the small case letters, you mightn't actually find the font will react the way you want it to do. And sometimes it might actually give you maybe extra options, that if you're using capital letters on your keyboard, it could give you maybe extra options. So pay attention to this here. It'll probably show you here, but at the moment, because this one is just a simple text font, it's just a simple A to a Z. But later on, when we're going to have a look at image fonts, you're going to find it's going to give you what letters or what numbers are going to give you different patterns and different shapes. So before you do, just pay attention to the little bit of text here, just in case sometimes when you do install a font and maybe it isn't coming up on the page like you'd like it to, or maybe it's showing you kind of symbols and stuff like that that aren't actually what you're looking for. You'll find a lot of information here that'll explain what keys will give you different patterns and all that sort of stuff. So at the moment, I am just going to install it. So basically, it's just a matter of clicking install, and Windows is installing it now in the font folder. So that is installed on my laptop. So I'm going to install the second one now. So again, it's just a simple thing of double clicking, and again, it's just showing me basically the same kind of stuff again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click install, and as you can see here, the box is telling me that it's installing it. Now, depending on your version of Windows, maybe you mightn't actually have this option, and maybe you might have to actually copy and drag this font here over to your fonts folder on Windows. So what you can do to find that is, if you come to your folder section, if you just click on your PC or laptop, you're going to find this probably in the menu along here. If you just double click on this, and this is the main hard drive on my laptop, it's the C drive. So that's a DVD drive, so just dismiss that one, but this is your main drive that all your Windows software is on. So I'm just going to double click on it. And what you want to do is you want to come down to the Windows folder. So just a matter of double clicking on it, open it up. And then if we just scroll down to fonts, this is the fonts folder. So just going to double click on this. And as you can see here, this is all the fonts that are installed at the moment and that are on my Windows laptop. Now, if I wanted to maybe if it didn't actually give me the option to install like it does here, what you could do is just basically just select the font that you want, click on it, and then just drag it over into the fonts folder, and you'll see a little plus symbol there, and then just let it go. And it's actually going to ask me now, because I already have it installed, it's probably going to ask me, do I actually want to rewrite it? So yeah, it's actually telling me there, because I already have it, do I want it to replace it? So I'm just going to say yes in this case. So it's after installing that font again. So then if I want to do the second one, it's just the same again, just select it, drag it over to the fonts folder, and let it go. And again, it's going to ask me now, because I already have it installed, it says do I want to reinstall it. So I'm just going to replace it again. Just click yes. And that is how easy it is to install the font. So if I just scroll down here, looking for New Walt Disney. So for example, if you install a font and maybe perhaps it isn't working for you and you just want to get rid of it rather than having it just lying in the folder, taking up room, if you just scroll down. So as you can see here, there is New Walt Disney. So there is New Walt Disney. So what I can do is, if that font wasn't working for me, just basically just click on it and then hit the delete button, and it'll be automatically taken away out of the fonts folder. Now if you're having trouble finding the fonts folder again, what you can do is, my PC, my laptop at the minute, depending on your version of Windows, I have this search box down here. Now sometimes you might actually have to click this button here for the menu to pop up and give you the search option, but in this case it's down here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to type in font, and I'm going to let Windows find this font folder for me. So let me see. It should show up. I'm just going to try to get this again. It worked yesterday for me. So if you just type in control, I'm going to find the control panel. No, it's not actually doing it for me at the moment. Yeah, that's it now. So basically, if you search for font in the search box down here, what you want is the result coming back with the control panel, which is the fonts folder. And again, if you double click on that, it will take you to this, straight to this folder here. But again, this is only kind of the last resort if you couldn't find it. But normally, in my case, it's just a matter of double clicking on the fonts script here, and then just click at the simple install, and it'll just directly put it in. But again, if you haven't got that option, if you just do what I did, just go into the hard drive, find in the Windows folder, and then find in the fonts folder in the Windows section, and then just a matter of clicking and dragging it over to the fonts folder, and it'll install that way too. So let me see if that is installed. I'm just going to open up Word now. You may find in some cases that when you do install a font, it doesn't actually appear on the menu straight away, so you might maybe have to close down Windows and reopen it again for it to show down in the drop down menu of Windows. Now when I was installing the fonts now, they normally were appeared straight away, but just in case they don't, you might have to close down Windows and reopen it, and it'll have the font then, the new list with the font in it. So I'm just going to pause this video here, and then I'm going to wait for Windows to open up. I'm just going to show you the font in the drop down menu. Welcome back. So I have opened up Windows, and this is what it's going to look like for, Word. And what you're going to do is you're going to see if your font is shown. So if you just click on the the font selection here. I'm just going to scroll down, and it was Walt Disney, so it's going to be down here in the W section. And there you go. That is the Walt Disney fonts there. So I'm just going to type something just to see what it looks. So as you can see there, that is the font installed, and that's how it will look on your page. So again, another thing I've noticed too as well is sometimes when you actually do download the fonts, pay attention to the name of the font itself, because this is what is going to show up in the drop down menu. For example, sometimes you might actually have, if you go to the font, the web page that you're downloading the font, you might find that there's actually a long name on the font, but when you download the font itself, it might have just a simple word here, and it could be completely different. So for example, you will find maybe that if you were looking for the Walt Disney one and you scroll down at the new Walt Disney one and you couldn't find it in the list, you might need to go back to the it doesn't necessarily mean that the font wasn't installed on your Windows. Just pay attention to this name here, because this is what is going to show up in the drop down menu as. So sometimes you might actually find the folder could be a long name, but the font itself might actually be a short word. So I'm looking for this one here. This would be the one that I'd be looking for in the drop down menu rather than the long one. So if you do find that you've installed a font and for whatever reason it's not showing up for what you expected it to show up for, just go back and have a look and see what the name of it actually was, and then you'll probably find it in the drop down menu. And then maybe if you don't find it, it could be a simple thing, maybe that it just didn't install the font properly. So if you just want to go back and reopen that folder and again drag those fonts over to the fonts folder, or just click the install button, it'll put them on instead. So that has been the video on how to download and install a font on your Windows laptop.